Howdy again, Mr. Pete here, your YouTube shop teacher of 20 years. I'm sitting next to the Bridgeport mill here, and I've had a minor issue here with the power down feed. And I've had this machine for 25 years and never experienced that problem because, in fact, I never really do power down feeding with a drill. Now, I do it all the time with a boring bar, but that doesn't put much pressure against the quill. But recently, when I made that video with my amp meter, and go back and watch that, I'll flash that on the screen right now. But when I made that video, right near the end of the video where I was getting into larger drills and drilling into steel instead of aluminum, it almost seemed like there was a gear stripped. So I did get it fixed, and thank you to Barry over there at H&W Machine, and I watched one of his videos, but I did quite a bit of troubleshooting myself before I decided to watch a video. I thought I could figure it out, and I probably could have. It's not rocket science or anything like that, but let me first demonstrate what it was doing. Okay, I'm going to drill a 5/16 hole in hot roll steel under power feed, 3/1000 per revolution. And when I turn the machine on, the power feed will start, but I want you to listen to hear see if you hear any clicking, and watch the quill feed here and see if it does anything unusual as I'm drilling under power, not using my hands at all. Okay, I'm so glad that it did what I was hoping it would do. And I know you couldn't hear over the roar of the motor or the bearings. I don't think these bearings are very good, but they're good enough for me. But there is like a clicking sound, almost as if there's a gear that has a tooth or two missing. So now you see what my problem was, and this is probably a rare problem, but it's really a simple fix if you know what to do. But if you start working on the wrong end like I did, you know, a man's having a heart attack and you check his toenails. You know, it doesn't make any sense, but that's what I was doing until I woke up. The entire power feed mechanism in this Bridgeport head, this is a J head, but I think from here on down it's the same as the variable speed. But this is the point at which the gears actually pick up power from the motor. So I did take this off, and I don't think I'll do that again. And I looked in there with a flashlight, and the gears looked okay. And since I was getting movement down in here, I took it that there's really nothing wrong up there, and there was not, thank goodness. And by the way, when you're not power feeding, make sure you put this in neutral, which is over to the other position here. Prevents wear. Well, I told you that this power feed was complicated, so I'm going to show you a picture in the original Bridgeport book. I don't think it's going to help you at all, but it will help you understand what a complicated gear train this whole thing is. Okay, in this beautiful assembly drawing, this is the front view, and there's the little gear shifter that I just showed you. And you can see the worm up in here, and that was okay. So let's look at the side view here. I'll zoom in just a little bit. Rapid forward a couple minutes if you can't take this. All right, see if you can follow this, or can I even explain it? Again, here is a little shifter that puts it in neutral or engages it. But the entire powertrain, you know, goes from this gear here down here. That's what brings the power down into this shaft, and here's the hand wheel and the reversing knob, and the feed lever right here that engages it on and off. But right back here you can see another gear or worm. I can't tell for sure which it is from here, and this is the clutch. And I finally determined the problem is in the clutch. How did I determine that? Both by listening and feeling. And let's go back to the machine now. I hope you got something out of this. Okay, here's the business card of Barry Walker owner and president of H&W Machine Repair over in Fort Wayne. And Barry's a good guy. I haven't met him, but I've watched a lot of his videos. And a little later in the this video, I will talk more about him and show you the videos of his that I watched, and they helped me greatly. On this side of the Bridgeport head, just a few things I want to point out. This is the lever that turns the power feed on and off, and it will go off automatically when the stop is set here for whatever depth you would want. And this little knob here has 3 positions. And when it's in the middle, it's in neutral. When it's all the way in, it's forward or reverse, I forgot which, and all the way out is either forward or reverse. And then here is the little adjustment, 3 different positions for 3 different speeds of down feed. 1.5, 3, and 6 thousandths per revolution. Well, Dr. Peterson decided to use his shop stethoscope to isolate the noise, and that was several days ago, but and it did work pretty good, other than the spring here is so strong, it's like putting ice tongs into your ears. It's incredibly painful. But while the machine was running and I was holding the lever to get that clicking noise, I did move the probe around to different spots. And finally, when I probed it right here, I could hear the clicking. Well, if you have movement right here, watch when I turn it on. See how that's turning? Then we know that we have power coming from the motor and the other lever that I showed you down into this mechanism. And this lever turns the feed on and off. You see it moving down? And this knob right here is right now in the neutral position, but when I put it in, see it's rotating clockwise, and I can pull it out into neutral, and now I'm in reverse. Look at the direction right here. I did take this cover off. That's what gives you the different speed rates or feed rates, and everything looked good in there, and I put a little bit dab of grease on the 3 gears, so that's good to go. To be honest with you, I didn't even know this machine had a clutch. I just never had to mess with this. But first of all, I thought, well, here's an adjustment screw. But no, that will not help you. Do not fiddle with that if there's nothing wrong on that end. But I'll take the cover off now. Very easy to do just with these 2 screws. Now that's just the cover, and this is what we're going to deal with. I don't think I'll even take that. Well, maybe yeah, I will pull the clutch out here in just a second. But what Barry said to do here, well, we already have a hole right here for this screw, 1/4 20. He said, drill another one on the other side, 1/4 20. Drill it number 7 or 13/64. So I did that. I put a transfer punch in there to mark it, and then drilled and tapped that hole. It's ready to put back on right now, but let's take this off just for the heck of it. You see that pulls right out, and on this end there's just a slot that goes into this pin right here. But there you see a spring, and look on this side. There are teeth here. It's almost like a ratchet type of gear, and similarly there's another gear in here. You can't see it, that looks exactly the same. So what was happening there when I could hear the clicking is there wasn't enough pressure here, and it was slipping. Click, 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 click. Alright, so I'll put that back in and then put the cover on and show you what I'm going to do. So Barry said, get yourself a long 1/4 20 socket set screw like that, and I'm just going to put it in here, just finger tight for now, just a few threads in, because I'll make the adjustment after this is reinstalled. So maybe you can see what this does here. So the set screw that I just showed you will be pushing against this yoke right at about this point, right here, and that is what the fix is all about. Okay, the clutch cover is back on, and I just had a change of heart here, And Barry suggested that we use a jam nut like what you see here. So I need a little bit longer set screw. This is the one I was showing you moments ago. And this one's, 3/4 long, so it will accommodate a jelly nut. So I'm just, again, going to screw this in finger tight until I feel it touching. Might need this. And I think this screw is going to be a little too long, but no, maybe not. It's going to work. All right, it's up against that yoke right now. And that's no yoke. Okay, let's review this one more time. I brought the set screw into contact with the yoke. Like that. Now watch me turn it on, and I'm going to resist the force of the down feed, and you'll hear it clicking and moving up. See what I mean? Okay, I've turned the screw in, about 3/4 of a turn approximately. Let's try it again. And it is no longer slipping. Success at last. Thank you, Barry. And now with the jelly nut installed, I'll just snug it up. And the job is done, and this screw is longer than what I needed, but I think this one was probably too short, and I couldn't find the right jam nut that is this size. This would be a 7/16. I ended up finding one that's a 1/2 inch. I don't like the looks of it, but the job is done. Well, that's a really easy fix if that is your problem, and now you know what to do. But if you got to work your way through it like I did, I spent quite a few hours on it. What I'm going to do now, this is the end of the video, I am going to flash on the screen 2 of Barry's videos that involve what I just said here. There are many more too in his playlist there regarding working on the head and on other parts of the Bridgeport. So that's a great resource for you. Also, I did buy years ago from him a screw in here for tilting the head and the worm. That's quite a while ago. I think there is a video on that, but Barry does have parts and service for this if you don't want to work on it yourself. He's in Fort Wayne, and I already showed you his address, and he has a website as well, which I think I showed on his business card. This is Mr. Pete saying thanks for listening, and lots of videos coming up yet this year, 2065, my final year on YouTube. So long for now.